Ruth started night shifts in 1994. Ward 7, a hospital in a city that never quite slept, though it tried between 2 and 4 in the morning to get close. She chose nights deliberately. Quieter, she thought, more predictable. Less of the daytime noise that made it hard to think. She was wrong about all of that. Night shifts were not quieter. They were a different kind of loud. The kind that happened in the space between monitors, in the specific quality of a silence that told you something needed checking. But she was right about one thing. Nights needed someone who didn't flinch. And Ruth had never been a woman who flinched. 3 in the morning was always the hardest. Every nurse who has ever worked nights knows this without being told. It is the hour when the body reaches its lowest point, when everything that has been held together through the day and the early evening and the first part of the night becomes harder to hold. The hour when people who were going to go went. And the hour when people who had decided, somewhere below language, somewhere in the specific machinery of the body, that they were going to stay, stayed. Ruth learned to tell the difference. Not always, not with certainty, but often enough that she knew which rooms needed her presence and which rooms needed her eyes. She sat with both kinds. She never left either one alone through the long middle of the night. Not once. In 30 years. She never thought of herself as saving lives. "That's the doctors," she said when anyone tried to frame it that way. "I just keep the ward running." But she was there at 4 in the morning when a reading came up wrong, a number that should have been noted, a trend that needed a phone call at an hour when nobody wanted to make one. She made the call. She stayed an extra hour with the man who couldn't sleep because he was afraid, not of dying exactly, but of dying alone. And she sat beside him until his breathing changed, and she knew he had finally gone somewhere easier. She remembered which patients had nobody coming, not in a formal way, not with a list, just in the way that certain people carry the information that matters without being asked to. She used their names every time. She straightened things on their bedside tables without being asked. Small things. The accumulated weight of small things over 30 years is not small. In 2011, on a Thursday night in November, a young man came into Ward 7 alone. He was 23. No family with him, no ID, just frightened, in the particular way that young men are frightened when they have been trying to be fine for too long. Ruth did not ask too many questions. She did what she had always done. She stayed close, checked in, made sure he knew that the ward was not somewhere he had to manage alone. He recovered. And every Christmas after that, for 22 years, he sent her a card. Not a long one, just a card. His name, sometimes a line about how things were going, sometimes just the year. Ruth kept every single one in a shoebox, under her bed, between the spare blankets and a photograph of her mother. She has never thrown a single one away. Ruth retired in June of 2024. Her last shift ended at 7 in the morning. The ward gave her a cake, shop-bought, slightly lopsided, with her name misspelled on the icing in a way that she found completely perfect. A card signed by 63 people. Some of them she had worked with for 20 years. Some she had met only that month. All of them, in their own handwriting, had written something they meant. She drove home in the morning light. The specific golden light of a summer morning at 7, the light she had spent 30 years arriving home to, but had rarely truly seen because she was always so tired. This morning, she saw it. She pulled into her driveway and sat in the car for a while. Not crying, not thinking about anything in particular, just sitting. Letting 30 years of nights, 30 years of 3 a.m., and wrong readings caught, and names remembered, and hands held through the dark settle around her like something earned. Here is what Ruth's story means. The world runs at night on people who chose to be there. Not for the recognition, not because someone was watching, but because someone had to be, and they were the someone who could.